It's November 9th, 2009, Sunday afternoon at the Ina Levine Jewish Community Campus. My name is Lenny Reese and I'm talking to Harvey Dietrich as part of a Historical Society project remembering Arizona's history. Harvey, when and why did you come from Boston to Arizona?
I didn't. I came from Boston to Los Angeles and then to Arizona. We moved from Boston when I was 8 years old for health. My dad had some health issues. Actually, we did stop in Phoenix at the time. And when we came to Phoenix, it was in 1943, 44. War was on. My dad had a letter of introduction. My dad was a meat buyer for Stop and Shop markets in Boston. And he had terrible asthma. We had to get out, so Arizona was the first choice. We came here. It was difficult to find a place to live. My dad went on some job interviews, and he had a letter of introduction from Stop and Shop markets back in Boston. And he presented that letter to A.J. Bayless, which was an old-time market chain in Phoenix, Arizona at the time. Well, back in those days, when you filled out an employment form, they asked you what religion you were, and you had to write in Jewish. On that, by writing in Jewish and not having the ability to get the job, that's how we ended up in Los Angeles. So you want to talk about discrimination that actually started. You know, I was first exposed to that when I was 8 years old through my dad's problem that he had with A.J. Bayless at the time. So then we moved to L.A. And my father at that time got a job with a chain of markets called Boys Markets. It was the one by the Goldstein family. They're a Jewish family. And one of the brothers was a meat buyer, so my dad couldn't be the meat buyer, so he ended up to be the produce buyer.
So we want you to share with us how you became so involved in the industry.
Well, I got a summer job when I was 15 through my father's friend that owned a slaughter plant. And it was basically just a summer job for me. I worked there in the summer, and it was very interesting. There was two brothers. One brother was the inside guy, the salesman. The other brother, the older brother, was a cattle buyer. So I spent time with both of them. And it was interesting enough for me to follow through the following Christmas vacation. I spent another 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, I had so much interest in it. It was very exciting to me. I told my father, you know, I'm going to be a cattle buyer.
And what was involved in the job? What was the job definition?
I used to feed the cattle. At that time, there was a big stockyards in L.A., and so they used to buy cattle, and they would hold them over the following day, and it was my job to feed the cattle, clean the water troughs, shovel the manure away from the troughs so everything would be clean, and then I would go into the cooler where the animals, after they've been slaughtered, and they used to put shrouds on the cattle on the slaughter floor to kind of smooth the fat and shape them. So I'd go there early in the morning and take the shrouds off. And after that process, the meat grader, they would rib the cattle so the grader could look at the meat, and then he would determine if they were choice or select or prime or what have you. So that was my first exposure to the business, and it was pretty exciting. To me it was, anyway. I used to get down there 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like daylight. I mean, there's trucks all over, and people were coming and going. It was, you know, it was for a kid. In fact, I didn't even drive. One of the owners picked me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I used to stand out with my little brown bag. My mother made me a couple of tuna sandwiches, and they'd come by and pick me up.
Now, let's get you to Phoenix and your business.
Right. Starting after high school, I didn't go to college. I went a couple of days a week, and then I worked at the plant. And by the time I was 18 years old, I was traveling, buying cattle, and my territory was Bakersfield, Fresno, Madera, Merced, Chowchilla, Santa Maria, and then I come down the coast to Ventura. There were all kinds of feedlots all over the place. So we'd go out there and we'd buy cattle, out of the different feedlots.
And who were you working for at this point?
The same original Globe Packing Company was my first job. A Globe Packing Company. So I was working for those guys. And then one of the cattle buyers in Arizona by the name of Eli Grauske was buying cattle in Arizona for the same company. He retired, and at that time, that was in 1958, he retired. And then they asked me if I would like to move here and take his place. Well, for me, it was a significant opportunity. It was very rural, and lots of cattle, lots of everything that was going to form and shape my career. And the learning experience to me, to go out the door in 30 minutes, I'm right in the middle of cattle, you know, compared to Los Angeles, I had to drive 3 hours, you know. It was phenomenal. And so I really enjoyed that part of my initiation, so to speak, when I came to Arizona.
And what was your life like and your family's life here in Phoenix in the early days when you came here?
Well, for me, it was exciting. For my wife, it was tough because she left family and friends, being born in Los Angeles, you know, and it was tough. But the thing that really drew us to the Jewish community at the time was the Jewish Center. People were living in apartments when they first came here, or certainly they had a house but no pool. Everybody was kind of struggling, just getting started in Arizona. And so the Jewish community was a phenomenal place to go for children, for socializing. Many times in the summer, they had that big, beautiful pool. We'd bring dinner. You know, we'd have dinner with our family and friends, and certainly there was a group of us that played a lot of handball. You know, Herb Schaefer, Herb Schumann, myself, and in fact, we helped build the first. We helped build the first handball courts, you know, in the center.
You had mentioned earlier to me that there was anti-Semitism in the industry, in the ranching industry. What particular experiences did you have?
Well, not only in the ranching, mostly a lot of the people in the business were, they would have, say, snide remarks about Jews and those kinds of things. Mr. Grauske and myself, we had to put up with some of that stuff. But we would remind them who we were. And the most satisfaction that I got out of being Jewish and being in this industry was the success that I enjoyed here in the meatpacking business, and also in the ranching, since we have the largest ranch in Arizona in a lot of places, and I had the largest slaughter plant in the West until I sold it in 1997. We processed 2,000 cattle a day, and I had 36% of the Southern California market. So, as a Jew, and going through some of those things and those anti-Semitic remarks and so forth, was pretty special to me. More than the success was the ability to prove to people, you know, how good we really were.
Absolutely.
You know, and so it really had more than the financial part of it and the success part of it was the ability to prove to people, you know, who we are and what we are, and we didn't have horns like they all thought.
Well, we love that you dressed up for us today. You're a great rancher, and we're proud to have you as part of the Jewish community. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm proud to be part of the Jewish community.